Welcome back to Bestie After Dark, where I tell your worst or most interesting dating, bedroom, and romance storytime submissions. As a reminder, if you would like to get your story to me, please visit ycbestie.com/bad to fill out my form. All right, let's jump straight into things. The title of your After Dark story time is I Didn't Recognize Him Without This. I started casually banging an older man. He's only 11 years older than me, which you'd think he'd still be young and spry considering I'm in my 20s, right? Well, girl, no, I would not assume that. He called me over late after the bars to get freaky. Right after I was about to start driving over, he stopped answering. I figured he dozed off, so I just went over anyways. I knocked on the door a few times, no answer. I started blowing up his phone while continuously knocking for like a minute straight until he woke up and rushed to the door, still like 10% asleep. He opened the door and looked very startled, but also not like the man that I was expecting. Mind you, I wasn't fully sober and I didn't have my glasses on. Girl, if he was ugly and you're drunk and half blind, he's just ugly. Like, imagine how much worse it would be if you could really see. And I'm sure we're getting to that. I started to panic. I said, "Wait, you're not Brett?" And he said, yeah, I am." I said, "No, where the fuck is Brett?" He was drunk and thought I was joking, so he started playing along with the game that I had unknowingly started. Oh, I don't know where Brett went. I start freaking out even more because who the fuck is in Brett's house and why isn't Brett here? Unfortunately, I have the survival skills of a goldfish, so I pushed past him and I went in the house yelling out for Brett. Girl, you are something. That's for damn sure. That's for motherfucking sure you are something. I went and I looked in every room. Okay, and so this is the part in the movie where he locks you in one of them and you never get out. Tripping. Brett starts to realize that I'm serious, and he's like, "No, girl, it's me. It's Brett. It's me. It's me." I kept looking at him, squinting and thinking hard as to why I didn't recognize him, and then it hit me like a semi on the highway in Florida. This man didn't have his dentures in. I was expecting it to be like a toupee or something. I mean, okay, don't make me defend a man, but girl, you did wake him up, but he did fall asleep. It's That's rough. He he fell asleep like he took his dentures out to go to sleep. He did not think you were pulling up. Me, being belligerent, I blurt out full throttle, "Oh, you didn't have your fucking teeth in. Oh my God." You're so funny for that. I immediately regretted this because other than having no teeth, this man is actually sweet and a proper munch. He then got very self-conscious and went on for a search for his dentures because he couldn't remember where he took them out. I felt so bad. But then he said, "Maybe I'll wait because I'm significantly better at eating without them." What a spin. Say less, brother. Mans went to town on the box and I busted like no tomorrow. In his defense, he has a genetic disorder where he doesn't develop a certain enzyme in his saliva that's supposed to protect your teeth, resulting in losing them. He never did anything to lose them, substance wise, has good hygiene, etc. He just lost the genetic lottery. I felt so guilty, but at least I still let him hit. I don't think you need to feel guilty. He recovered well. You recovered well. That's just kind of rough all the way around. Was that the only time you let him hit? Like, did you? Where's Brett and running around in his house is fucking diabolical, and I need you to know that. Okay, all the denture talk aside, that's the part that is insane. Like, criminally insane, babe. The title of your After Dark story time is 69 Problems. Even if you don't use this in the episode, it is horrendous. Enjoy. Thanks. So, back in my wild days with my then fiance, who had a thick chest length beard, that's important. We'd been out doing our typical party favors all night. We roll in around 3 a.m., and things get hot and heavy. Mid, 69, mid, I feel a tap on my leg. Get up, babe. Yep. The party favors got the best of me, all on his nose and beard. I could have simply passed away. He was actually really chill about it, totally understanding though. But I am 6 years clean now, and I've never shit on anyone else. babe, with actual human feces on his neck and chest. I gotta tell you, I think that he handled that better than I would have. It is get up, babe. But he wasn't clean either, so that's a little different. The title of your After Dark story time is How I Became an Unapologetic Gaslighter. Hi, Bestie. I've never even told my friends this because I fear that they will think I'm a total psycho, even though I'm low key proud of it, and I need to finally tell someone. My first serious boyfriend, when I was in my early 20s, Grant, was a really lovely guy in most ways. He was kind, supportive, handsome. The relationship wasn't mind blowing, but it was pleasant and a loving one. And I was gushy about him in the kind of way that you can only be about a boy when you're in your early 20s. There was only one problem. Grant was insecure about two very specific things. The first is that I was substantially more experienced than him. We were the same age, but I had gone through an early hoe phase in my teens. No regrets. No regrets about that one, and no regrets about the later ones, period. And I was his first long term relationship, and the first one where things actually got physically intimate. The other is that he was super insecure and awkward about his meat, specifically the size. And I don't even really know why. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it wasn't anything to put on blast in the group chat either. It was a perfectly fine wiener, like a salad that provides a nicely satisfying meal but doesn't feel particularly indulgent. Like a wiener that may not have an Ivy League worthy SAT score, but was a pleasure to have in class. Whatever, though, guys are weird about their peens, and I didn't think much of it at first and just said the reassuring things you're supposed to say, like, oh, babe, it's so perfect, such a good size, and it hits me in all the right spots. But months went on, and dude, he just kept finding ways to be anxious about it. One time after a dentist appointment, I mentioned in passing that I hate getting my teeth cleaned because I have an easy gag reflex to trigger. And he got really mopey and said that he had never triggered my gag reflex, so it must mean that his meat is small. It was so hard not to constantly roll my eyes. He would also frequently ask me if other guys that I had been with were bigger than him. The breaking point came when we were literally in the middle of doing it, and I'm talking mid thrust. And he starts asking me if I'm sure he's really big enough and whether it's actually satisfying, and then blurts out that we should measure it. Girl, I think that this is more than just insecure about it. I think he was into this. It sounds like maybe he had a thing for humiliation. It's a mix of the insecurity and like wanting to get off about it. Um, And I'm curious what would happen if you had ever been like, "It's small." He probably would have finished right then and there, squirted everywhere. Um, I am beside myself with frustration and annoyance. I'm absolutely done with this relationship at this point in my head. But frankly, I kind of want to fuck with him now after all of this nonsense. We're getting to exactly the answer to my question. Incredibly, he's never measured himself and doesn't even have a ruler at his place, so I tell him I'll print one out, which I do, but I change the scaling on the print settings. Regular looking ruler, but subtly inaccurate inch markings. I get him nice and hard. I make sure he's at full staff so he can't say that he wasn't at full mast. And plunk the printout right next to it. What should have been a totally average 6 inches instead, base to tip, read 3.75. I didn't read it to him. I show it to him with my fingers, showing him exactly where he landed. I give him an Oscar worthy, sympathetic, "Aw, babe." And I validate all of his long standing insecurities with phony empirical evidence, giving just the right excruciating pauses for effect. And I say, I guess you are a little small, huh? Predictably, he immediately goes soft and starts pouting, apologizing, and slipping under the covers, then sleeping for about 16 hours straight. Damn. I don't break it off right away, but in the 3 attempts that follow over the next few weeks, we try doing it again, and he's unable to get it up every single time. Finally, the relationship just ends some point soon after that. This was almost a decade ago, and you would think that somewhere in all that time, poor Grant would have gotten over that misplaced insecurity or at least bought a proper ruler. But apparently, my little hey, Basil. But apparently, my little ruse went deeper into his head than I intended. And last year, out of the blue, he messaged me on Facebook. The reason? He asked if I would send him a video making fun of his tiny meat for him to jerk it to. I was right. I was right. I was right. I'm right every time. Don't ever try to tell me I'm wrong about anything, bitch. I'm always right. I'm always right. I'm always right. You can't tell me shit. You can't tell me a motherfucking thing, bitch. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Told you so. Should have come to me 10 years ago. Did I do it? I would have been 16 years old. Okay. Did I do it? Bestie, I did. After telling him to Venmo me first. Good. Okay, $60 a minute, ladies. I'm setting the market economy on this one. And if I'm shooting low, somebody tell me. But I have had, that's when I did this, when I did SPH, that's what I charged. Why did I charge that much? Because my very first client, he was like, that's how much I pay. And I was like, period. We were low-key friends. Okay. Like, not like friends, but he was like, yeah, if you wanted to do this, like if you wanted to make money from this, I can help you, but he sent me like the different Reddit forums where I could go promote or market. He sent me like different avenues that I could pursue it on my own with other clientele if I wanted, which I never really went that far, but he would continuously come back because he was like, you're brutal. Like, I know that you mean it. Some of the, some of the other girls that I pay for this, like to make fun of me, you could tell that their heart isn't in it. They feel bad. You, brutal. So I knew it, and I hope you charged him well. Oh, that's what I was going to say, is that I've had some pros tell me that basically the pricing is too low. And I don't know if they meant like for me now, or like the market in general. But if you want to do SPH, which it sounds like this was a one-time thing for you, girl, but look into the pricing, because what I was going to say is I've had cam girls tell me that that's more than they were charging, like through managers, through like site managers and shit like that. And so not only was $60 a minute more than the site was charging clients, but it's obviously tremendously more than they were actually making because they had to split those profits. So we're thinking about. Anyways, the last sentence is, I still don't know if I should feel deeply ashamed or deeply proud of this, but I know it's definitely one of the two. Both. Go. Fuck it. Both. Ain't nothing wrong with feeling a little bit of both. Because like my thing, and here's why I say that. You know what I mean? Here's why I say that. It's because when I did SPH, I had clients that I feel like got in too deep. And it was like, friend, you're paying for this and you should be paying for therapy. Like, what you need is actual help, a mental health professional. Because there were points where people would come to me and be like, basically after, oh, this isn't even Basil, this is Bean. Hey, Bean. Oh, my chunky girl. She loves sitting in on Bestie After Dark. This is our girl time. But I had clients that would come and ask me for advice about stuff going on, like in their personal life, or like, how should I handle this situation or that situation? And oftentimes, what I found was that they were really asking me for like the meanest response that they would receive from someone. And, there's a time and place for that, but I think ultimately, like, you should be working on yourself, your self-confidence, and like being able to handle rejection when you do receive it. And so that is ultimately why I stopped doing it was, yeah, I started to feel guilty a little bit. And I also would start to feel guilty about times when I knew that, like, you have spent so much money on this, babe, like, you can't afford it. And what a weird like thought process in my head. But yeah, I'd be like, bro, I couldn't afford this. I know you can't afford it. Like, how much debt are you in from paying women to talk to you. It was just too much for me. Okay, next story. Little drinky drink. Beat, it's so crazy that you're up here. The title of your After Dark story time is The Case of the Missing Girlfriend and the Balloon Smell. So, boom, I meet this girl. She's cute. She's sweet. She's got that my family definitely argues in the group chat and then sends Bible verses the next morning energy. Anyways, but we're vibing. Like, I'm ignoring red flags because the playlist is immaculate vibing. One day, she tells me she wants to see this band called Suicide Silence. I thought she was confessing a crisis, not inviting me to a concert that sounds like a warning label, but I'm supportive. And because I'm generous, because I'm naive, because God looked at me and said, let's give him a character arc, I buy her and her friend tickets. Premium seats. I'm basically sponsoring my own downfall. She's supposed to be home at 2 a.m. At 2:30, her friend shows up at my house alone. No girlfriend, no Kiki, no explanation, just vibes and confusion. And I'm like, "Where's Kiki?" And she says, "I don't know." Like she misplaced her at the Walmart. Then at 4 a.m., Kiki texts me, "Sorry, I got to hang out with the band for a bit. I'll be home soon. You know I love you so much." Listen, when a woman says, "You know, I love you so much," from a location that is not your immediate area, she is absolutely somewhere updating her emotional software on someone else's connection. She finally comes home at 3 p.m., not 3 a.m., 3 p.m., looking like she respawned after a boss fight. She walks past me, and bro, she smells like balloons. Not perfume, not sweat, balloons. Like she spent the night inside a Party City stockroom. She collapses into bed and she sleeps like she just clocked out of her 12-hour shift at Betrayal Depot. I'm standing there like a landlord inspecting damages. She wakes up at 9 p.m. and casually goes, "Oh, yeah, the band gave me tickets for Sunday." Then she leaves again like she's late for her internship at Cheaters R Us. And at this point, I'm a single father raising my own self esteem. So I investigate. I go to her Instagram. She posted a signed CD like she'd won a sweepstakes, and then I see it, a band member commenting, "I can't wait for the next time. Maybe we can fit two CDs in the same slot." My soul didn't just leave my body, it filled out a change of address form. I confronted her and she starts crying, real tears, saying she didn't mean to do it, like infidelity was a slip and fall accident at Target. I bring up the two CDs comment. She sniffles and she goes, "Yeah, they were trying to do a DP, but I just couldn't stop thinking about you." I want to stop here and say I did already read this story last night for my daily social media clips. The ASMR episode of Bestie After Dark received a lot of mixed reviews. So it did bring me some new viewers who seem to really like that format. But my pre existing audience, my existing followers and supporters, they reached out to me. I got messages, I got comments, I got people were like, "Do not ever do this shit the fuck again. Don't ever do this shit again." So last night I decided instead of posting the last stories from that episode that I would instead read this story because the person that submitted it is like, they have been proud as hell all week. Like, I can't wait for you to read this shit. So I will post that on YouTube as well. Since I won't be reposting this story again, so that you can see all of my initial commentary. But these reactions are like secondhand. This story is still fucking insane. You know, like I've already read and reacted to this, and it's still blowing my fucking mind. She said that like it was supposed to comfort me. Like the thought of me as a moral compass in this situation with no map would help. And then she admits it. She didn't just sleep with the band, she slept with the roadie too. And the total number of guys involved was 10. 10. That is a whole starting lineup plus the substitutes. And I asked her if she was drunk or on anything, and she looked me dead in the face and said, "No, I just had water all day." I mean, yeah, you had to stay hydrated to prepare for such an athletic endeavor, babe. Water. She did that all on hydration alone. Yeah. Yeah. She pulled a Bonnie Blue on you. Clear-headed and all. Clear-headed and all is crazy. But then, plot twist, she ends up pregnant. And suddenly I'm staring down the possibility of having to go to court with her and 10 different guys to try and find out who the father is. It was about to look like a roll call in that courtroom, but catch this, the baby wasn't from any of them. Yeah, they were all wearing rubbers, babe. That's why she smelled like balloons. Not the band, not the roadie, not the lineup. The baby belonged to a completely different guy who wasn't even at that concert. And then, in the final twist of the century, she ends up marrying a guy that she met at that show. Not one of the band members, not one of the 10, just some random dude in the crowd. Full circle, full chaos, and full documentary material. Wild as fuck. So fucking wild. The title of your After Dark story time is Florida Felon Hospitality. Dear Your Corporate Bestie, I need to document the latest chapter in my ongoing experiment titled Maybe This Attractive Man Won't Be Completely Unhinged. For reference, he's about an 8.5 out of 10 in the looks department, which historically means there's a strong chance he comes with, complications. I knew the risk going in, but curiosity and poor judgment are powerful forces. The first date started surprisingly wholesome. This man drove all the way out to my parents' house in the middle of nowhere, the kind of rural setting that feels like the opening scene of a horror movie. Not only did he make the drive, he actually came inside and met my parents. That alone was impressive enough to lower my already questionable standards even further. The date itself went great. He bought food, drinks, greenery, and generally behaved like a charming and attentive human being. After a couple hours of persistent begging and what I'll generously call enthusiasm, I eventually caved and I slept with him. I'm aware that my bar for men currently rests somewhere near ground level, and personal growth is a work in progress. No man that you want to be with is going to beg for it until the point that you feel like you need to cave. Like, I swear to you. Swear. He can ask, but beg persistently for hours? No. The second date escalated quickly, and he brought me to meet his family. I met his mother, sister, and niece, and honestly, they were all so wonderful. Things were going smoothly until he suddenly disappeared halfway through the evening, claiming that he was going to grab some greenery and telling me to just hang out with his sister and niece. But then 2 hours passed. His mom starts asking me where he was, and I had absolutely no idea. The situation started getting awkward enough that even my anxiety had anxiety, and eventually he came back, sweaty, nervous, no greenery, immediately ran to the shower. I'm not even going to say what I think his ass did. I'm just going to see where this goes. His mother started arguing with him, so I quietly exited out of the back with his sister and a bottle of tequila. We sat outside drinking while the yelling continued inside like background audio in a reality show. At one point, he came outside. His sister's cat was walking around his legs, doing normal cat things, and he picked it up like he was cuddling it. His sister jokingly said, "That's probably the only thing that'll show you love anymore." A normal person might laugh that off, but instead, this man overhand threw the cat directly at her head. She spun around and ran, so it only caught her hair, but in that moment, I mentally added assault with a feline projectile to the growing list of concerns. Then his mother came outside and told us we couldn't stay there because we aren't married. I apologized, and she immediately clarified that it had nothing to do with me and everything to do with him, which frankly felt validating and ominous, so we left. On the drive home, he asked me for some road top. Given the tequila, the backyard bonding, and my generally questionable decision making processes, I said yes. What I didn't consider was the combined chemical reaction of tequila, hose water, and earlier's chicken nuggets. Things went south quickly. He pushed my head down hard when I gagged, which resulted in me finally sitting up, recovering for a moment, and then projectile vomiting directly onto him in the inside of his car out of pure spite. We were both covered in what I can only describe as a chicken nugget tequila slurry, and his response, "Damn, girl, that was sexy as hell. Can you do it again on my meat?" At that point, I decided it was time for some direct questioning, and I asked him if he was on anything. This man started crying. He pulled out an ice pipe and he said, "Babe, I swear I won't touch this again," before dramatically throwing it on the ground like that would solve everything forever. As if pipes don't cost $6 and exist in literally every questionable convenience store in America. I went home and I did a test and I got one faint line for uppers while the other three were clean. And I'm choosing to believe that the universe was just messing with me for sport. For what it's worth, our bedroom life was incredible, which in hindsight probably should have been another warning. I might have suspected something earlier when this felonious romantic served me ice water in a cleaned out Smucker's jar. Anyways, this concludes the report from the field. Yeah, babe, you're in the fucking trenches. Sincerely, the coworker who keeps learning lessons the hard way. That's how your corporate bestie started. I kept learning shit the hard way. I was living life on expert mode when bitch, I am not that, okay? I'm not that. The title of your After Dark story time is The Gingerbread Man. My fuck ass diaper wearing banana shitting Discord mod X, who I'm pretty sure gave me worms, used to and probably still does whittle the skin off of a knob of ginger with a teaspoon and put the tip up his butthole while he plays with his organ and sometimes would shape it like a plug so it would stay in. What? These are all words that I'm familiar with, but just not in that order. Okay. The title of your after The title of your After Dark story time is The Disappearing Red Heart. Start this off by explaining I have a set of plugs that are metal with a red diamond heart. There's a starter, a medium, and a large from the beginner kit that I got. He'd put the middle one in and wanted me to jerk it. The whole time the red heart was visible until he finished and suddenly the heart was gone. Just gone. I wasn't paying attention to it enough to know why it suddenly disappeared, so both of us immediately assumed that it fell out. Incorrect assumption. After a minute of searching every possible noiseless area it could have landed in, I said I had to make sure it came out. At first I thought maybe, but put my finger all the way in to make sure, and that's when I felt the red heart. The second finger to grab both sides, I pulled it out to the exit, except the base is bigger, so I had to pop it out at an angle first. Always check for a flared base. Okay. The title of your After Dark story time is Fuck My Friend. Okay, so I started talking to this guy, but it was charity work from the beginning. He just let me verbally abuse him. Like, I literally had him saved as fat fuck on my Snapchat. Okay, bitch. Anyways, one night he was out with a friend at Texas Roadhouse, and I told him I deserved some since I was working. This friend was paying, so it was a no-go, but he makes me add that friend. Weeks go by, and he asked me to come over one drunken night. I didn't know how drunk he was, but I get there, and it's actually that friend's house. It's already awkward, and he kisses me in front of his friends. From there, his friends are tired of dealing with his drunk ass, so we go inside. We finally do get to the point of doing it, and I'm on top. He starts saying that he won't finish in me because he wants his friends to do me after. Well, then probably 10 minutes later, he's saying that he loves me and he can't wait until he doesn't have to share me. And then, worst of all, he passes out. Needless to say, the verbal abuse got worse and I never saw him again. This is a situation where, again, you know, verbal abuse, bad, 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 no, 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 bad, no good. But he was definitely getting off to that shit. The title of your After Dark story time is Poor Decisions After Separating. So my ex-husband and I are separated, and after like a month, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go get some D. I met a guy, and yeah, there were huge red flags, but I'd never had any hookups before, and I figure, I'm not looking for a relationship. I might as well try and have some fun. So I ignore it. Big mistake. The first time was good enough that I figured, we'll keep this going for a bit. After knowing him for, I don't know, a couple of weeks, he asked me if I will throw up on him while going down. I was dumbfounded. Excuse me? You want me to what? And he starts talking about how he really likes watching videos where the girls do that. Absolutely not. I hate throwing up in general, and I hate the idea of doing it on purpose even more. Then he asked me if I could at least. What? Hold on. Then he asks if he could at least pee in my mouth. At least? Like, that's the consolation prize. I said hold on because I was reading it wrong at first, as if he asked you to pee in his mouth. But being like, oh, okay, can I pee in yours? Criminally insane activity and behavior, okay? Absolutely not. Sure, I guess some people might be cool with that, but my guy, you barely know me and you want to what? Anyways, after hearing no to that, we still hook up a few more times because I'm dumb, it was good, and I was going through a divorce. Poor decisions. He would still occasionally bring up both of those requests. Eventually, he said he loved me after like a month of occasionally meeting up and doing it. I ended things. He said I ruined his life. I was abstinent after that for almost a year. That makes sense. Realizing I needed to be smarter because obviously I was out here making poor choices left and right. Yeah, being abstinent for a while will definitely show you that you're making shitty decisions. The title of your After Dark story time is I thought my boyfriend was cheating on me, but secretly he was cross dressing and on ice. Okay, so I meet Jacob, and Jacob was my best friend's hot as fuck older brother. He was 6'3" with a built bod. He's a blue collar carpenter. He's just my type, and I work for a popular power tool company. I just felt like it was a sign. I was so delusional looking back. Anyways, we had an amazing bedroom life, always down to try anything. And that was the first huge meet I had ever taken. It was perfect. Anyways, he really wanted to do it in the back door, but I could not fathom doing anything with anything that big in the back. So I made him a deal and I said, sure, if I can do you with something equal or bigger. I wanted to get Peggy with him, basically, and I was bluffing, but he said yes. I didn't expect that, and I'd never done that with a man before, but I guess I'm willing to give anything a shot at least once. The day comes and he acts like I'm forcing him. He won't arch his back. He won't arch his back is crazy. He stays real still to basically where I stop because I feel like I am doing him non-consensually. Fast forward a couple of months, he's acting weird as fuck, so I go through his phone because I think he's cheating on me. And I go through the photo gallery and I see him wearing my lingerie, stretching it all out with various size toys and plugs in his butt. Pictures of him with thigh-high stockings on with his butt spread open. Pictures of him wearing wigs and also smoking something icy. It wasn't what I expected, but it was kind of worse in a way because how do you go from acting like this is so horrible, you hate it, and it's something I'm forcing you to do, to then doing it without me? To this day, he is still on those substances, and he's also a Virgo with a triple Leo stellium. Hey, listen, babe. I think if you're on ice, it doesn't fucking matter what your astrological chart is, okay? Can we agree on that? Like, there are some things where it's like I know a lot of people that do soft, that go skiing with their sinuses, right? The harder version at that point, once you get to like being on the hard, on the rock, what you got going on, that's like some next level other shit. This is some next level other shit, okay? Literally a victim with a god complex. The title of your After Dark story time is Dreaming Too Hard. When I was younger, I dated a guy from high school until we were adults. We both got super into smoking cigarettes. I know, gross. And eventually I knew that I needed to stop. So I went to my doctor's office and I asked for something to help. The doctor prescribed me Chantix and warned me that it could cause side effects like nausea, fatigue, headaches, and vivid, lucid dreams. While I was taking the medicine, I thought I was doing fine. And one night I dreamt something so crazy, it took me a couple days to piece it together and say it out loud. But I dreamt my boyfriend was cheating on me with my dad. I know, what the fuck, right? Also, my dad and my boyfriend worked together for a long time. They changed jobs and just got along really well, so it wasn't anything new. But one day they got off of work and I told my boyfriend, I knew it, I knew you were gay. And he looked shocked, but not in the alarmed kind of way. He looked over at me and he hesitated to respond. I told him about my dream and how it played out, and he said, "So that's why you think I'm gay?" I laughed it off, not thinking anything of it. But fast forward, he was also verbally abusive, and physically, he was my first and only long-term relationship since we dated from freshman year until in 2011 to 2019. I finally pulled the plug when he threw a bowl of cereal on the floor because I refused to take a bite to let him know if the milk was any good. He knew that I had a milk allergy. We hadn't spoken in a few months, and we had to do some final payments on the apartment that we shared and paperwork in the office since we were both on the lease and we both had to be there. Afterwards, we agreed to go get some drinks, and he told me he missed me, but I wasn't fazed or anything. I knew that the relationship was long gone. He keeps drinking, and I'm just people watching in the bar where there's karaoke going on. I offer to walk home with him, and then he confesses what my subconscious had already informed me. He told me that since we'd broken up in December, and it's now March, that he had gone to a New Year's party with people we went to school with, and he wanted me to hear it from him instead of from someone else. He said that that night he hung out with my sister's current ex-boyfriend, and they got drunk. When the ball dropped on New Year's, they made out, which led to further bedroom activities. He cried and told me that he thought I had already found out on my own that he had an interest in men when I told him about my dream, like I'd caught him red-handed. And that when I said I dreamt it, he didn't feel like confessing his feelings because he was embarrassed. He admitted to treating me like shit because he was trying to mask his own repressed feelings, but said his feelings for me had never changed. I informed him that when I saw him kissing my dad, I couldn't look at him the same. Kissing your dad in the dream, right? Because I was so scared that whole time that it was going to be confirmed that he was fucking with your dad, bro. I was so scared. The title of your After Dark story time is True Anarchy, I guess. When I was in school, I worked at a fast food joint, and it's there that I met Carlos. It was the classic love story of the front of house and back of house workers who bonded over substances. You see, Carlos was a seller and your girl was a partaker. He won me over with beautiful romantic gestures, such as coming up to me when I was working in the drive-thru, telling me to pick a hand, and then revealing that both hands contained a different item of substance of my choice, both free, and telling me that he was taking whichever one I didn't so I wouldn't be doinked at work alone. Swoon. Eventually, after a few months of workplace flirting and providing me with free party favors after hours, he asked me to make things official. Since he was a little bit older than me, and I was shocked to find out that he still had his V card, which of course meant that he could eat, and did so with all the joy and enthusiasm that I did when I had a joint after a long day of work. I say that all to say I can't be blamed for not immediately running for the hills and blocking him after what comes next. With the way that that man was turning me into a Michelin five-star course meal, I was ready to let him do and say just about anything that he wanted as long as he didn't say anything else immediately after. That was until one day I received a picture from a street sign. "Where'd you get the street sign, buddy?" one might ask. "Oh, nowhere in particular, just the crossroads outside of my school." Interesting choice, but okay, he'd always had a flair for dramatics and a hatred for government infrastructure. Stick it to the man, I guess. I mean, I had been complaining about the administration to him, and he was just trying to be supportive, right? You can literally just hear the willful denial. I was going to let it go so I could just let him go downtown on me again. Until flash forward, the next day, I get picked up and taken to the police station for questioning. Turns out, not only did he commit a felony by taking the sign, he also took it upon himself to spray paint "I love Earth" and the anarchy symbol on the side of my school building. Now, for a little bit of context, When I say he has always had a hatred for government infrastructure, I mean this man has made anarchy and nihilism his whole personality. Don't judge, it appealed to the hoodlum in me. So much that he has a tattoo of a dino chicken nugget with the anarchy symbol grilled into it on his arm. Some other context is that he spoke Spanish, and my name means earth in Spanish. I don't care if you share my name, or you can change what the spray paint says. Either way, nice, because I'm not changing it. So basically, he said that he loved me for the first time after a week of dating by literally spray painting a giant metaphorical red flag on a brick wall. As I'm sitting my ass in a police station bright and early on Monday morning, being questioned about my boyfriend's whereabouts, I realize I'm probably going to have to let my brave little engine that could go. Begrudgingly, I made the break. Now, I know it was his first morsel of panini, and let's face it, I have an award winner. But that's no excuse for what he decided to do next. Tell me why months after we broke up, he decided the best way to win me back was to break into my house when he thought I was sleeping, to leave Valentine's Day gifts consisting of 3 bags of flour, yes, baking flour, a box of Russell Stovers, a bag of Swedish fish, and frantically scrawled out handwritten notes asking me to a dance at the school that he was literally banned from for vandalizing. He was on them party favors, friend. He literally opened my bedroom door, looked me dead in the eyes, let out a little, oh, and then just awkwardly set the bag on the ground in front of me before walking out while muttering, I thought you were asleep, sorry. Like that would have made it better somehow? I miss when his romantic gestures got me inebriated and not implicated in a crime or made the victim of one. I mean, I did eat the chocolate, but the breaking and entering was unnecessary. And what the hell was up with the baking flour? The title of your After Dark story time is Biohazard. I met this guy on Tinder and we ended up seeing each other for about 6 months in total. At first, it was pretty normal. We would go on a date, text for a while, and then go on another date. But after the second date, I realized I had to initiate everything because he was always too busy. Too busy doing what, you might ask? Smoking Reggie and playing video games. At the time, I was 23 and he was almost 28, which makes what comes next even more embarrassing for him. He and a friend lived in a townhouse that one of his coworkers owned. He worked for an airline doing tarmac work, and the deal was that he and his roommate each paid about a quarter of the mortgage while the owner covered the rest and would occasionally come and stay for a week or two at a time. You would think that 2 grown men living in a place like that would keep it somewhat clean, and you would be wrong. The floors were filthy. Dishes sat in the sink for the whole 6 months that I knew him. His bedroom was covered in dust, trash, and piles of dirty clothes that he would literally pick up and rewear. His bathroom could have been classified as a biohazard, and his personal hygiene somehow managed to be even worse. He had some of the worst dental hygiene I've ever seen. He had to have molars pulled out because they were so decayed. There was permanent dirt under his fingernails, and I'm pretty sure I never saw him drink water, like, ever. The real kicker was that he had gone and gotten a hair transplant because he was balding and couldn't cope with it. But then he didn't take care of the hair that grew in. No trims, barely washed it, and never brushed it. When it got to about shoulder length, it was so matted that he had to buzz it all off. And for the record, I never slept with this man, thank God. Thank God! He spent hours at the gym every day, but never looked like he worked out. He ate terribly and lived almost entirely off of fast food and Uber Eats while constantly using those cheap disposable vapes that make the entire area around him smell even worse than it already did. Anytime we went out, he would get belligerently drunk, the kind of drunk where he would pass out and his buddies would have to carry him to whatever Uber I would have to pay for to get us back to his place. The day before the final trip that ended everything, I bought us tickets to a concert I was really excited about. We got there, and almost immediately he started complaining that he wanted to leave. He spent the entire time ruining the vibe and acting miserable. Eventually, I told him that if he was unhappy, he could go sit in the car and I would finish the concert by myself. So he did. And the second he left the stadium, he started blowing up my phone nonstop until I got back to the car. Then somehow, against my better judgment, I just kept excusing all of it, even his overbearing mother. The final straw was a trip to visit my best friend so he could meet her and her boyfriend. It was a 7-hour drive, which I had to do by myself because he wasn't feeling well. Fine. I've done long drives before. Everything was fine at first. And then we gardened with my friends. And despite bragging the whole time about how high his tolerance was, he got absolutely destroyed. So sick we had to leave the house early because he couldn't handle it. And on the 7-hour drive home, I had to pull over multiple times so that he could throw up on the side of the road. After driving all the way back, I pulled up to where he lived, told him to get out of the car, lose my number, and I never spoke to him again. Period, girl. As you should. Thank you so much for joining me for Bestie After Dark. As a reminder, if you would like to see all of Bad all at once, you can visit my website to subscribe to support me as a creator and get early access on Saturdays, or you can just visit my YouTube at YC Bestie. Thanks so much.